Herzlich willkommen hier auf der Vienna Comic Con am Samstag, Nachmittag, kann man ja gut und gerne sagen. Mein Name ist Steffen Volkmer, ich darf hier einige Panels moderieren. Ich habe das schon öfter gemacht. Ich habe auch einen kleinen YouTube-Kanal, der heißt Comics und Bier, bei dem es vehement um Comics und Bier geht. Wer Lust hat, schaut mal da rein. Gibt sehr viele Interviews dort mit Kreativen aus der Comic-Szene und Kreativen aus der Bierszene, aber naja, für die beides interessiert, ist das ganz gut. Hier bin ich als Moderator auf der Panel-Stage und darf einige der vor allem Superhelden, KünstlerInnen moderieren, weil ich auch als Redakteur bei Panini unterwegs bin und wir machen ja die gesamten Superhelden für den deutschsprachigen Raum. Und mein Gast hier auf der Panel Stage, das ist eine Ikone der Comics und damit er mich besser versteht, weil er nämlich aus den USA kommt, werden wir jetzt zum Englischen wechseln. We change now to English. It's probably better for you. And a heartily welcome to an icon of the comic creatorship. It's Frank Cho. So, first question, have you ever been to Vienna before?
No, actually this is my first time. It's absolutely very beautiful city.
It is, it absolutely is, yeah. How was your flight here? It must have been a very long flight then.
It actually was very long, so I'm still pretty jet lagged.
But you're looking great, so. And the first day you have your booth over there in Hall B, I guess. How was it so far? A lot of people coming up to you?
Actually, David, the guy that runs my booth, he told me that we sold out of all the books. So I don't know what to sell tomorrow.
So you're only gonna do commissions then, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. How long are you in the comic book business?
So I started with Liberty Meadows in 1997, right out of college. And I joined Marvel Comics in 2003. So, depending on if you count Liberty Meadows or not, I've been in the industry since 1997, so that's like 20, how long is that, 27 years?
Something like that. I'm very bad in math, so
So like, yeah, about 27 years, but if you include Marvel, if I started Marvel in 2003, so I've been in the comic book business for 21 years.
All right, that's quite a time, I would say.
Yeah.
You started with Liberty Meadows in university. So how does this? Well, first, what's Liberty Meadows about? Because I'm not sure if all people are familiar with that.
So was Liberty Meadows published in Germany? I mean,
it is still published in Germany. Yeah.
Really? Okay. Liberty Meadows is about an animal sanctuary. Yeah, it's like Bloom County. Have you guys read Bloom County?
I don't.
I guess I'm dating myself. Bloom County was a very popular comic strip in the 1980s when I grew up. So it's a mixture of Bloom County and Calvin and Hobbes. So you guys heard of Calvin and Hobbes, right? So something very similar.
So it's more like a funny, or what is it?
It's a humorous comic strip. A lot of humor.
And you have a lot of animals running around acting like people, or I really,
yeah, pretty much. Crazy animal, crazy people.
And you started that during university, so this was your door opener to the comic book industry. How did this work? How did you come to a publisher? How was your way into the business?
So Liberty Meadows was a newspaper strip, so I did that every day for 5 years. And then I just got tired of it. I just got tired of the censorship. American newspaper, they're very very conservative, so they would censor me all the time because of my humor. So after 5 years, I just quit. I just got tired of it. And then I didn't know what to do. And then next thing I know, Marvel called me up out of the blue. And so Axel Alonso at Marvel Comics was a big fan of mine. So he just called me up out of the blue and recruited me for Marvel. And that's how I got the job at Marvel. People say, how do you break into comics? I just picked up the phone.
You were called. Well, that's every.
Yeah, I was extremely lucky.
That's how everybody who wants to get into the business dreams of. They called me, you know.
Pretty much.
So that, but that means you must have been impressed someone there at Marvel, because I think they do not call too many people.
No. Yeah, I mean, like Axel Alonso, who later became editor-in-chief at Marvel, he's the one that recruited me, essentially. He's the one that made my career.
And what was the first thing you were working on at Marvel?
So they hired me to revamp Shauna the She-Devil. So I wrote and drew Shauna the She-Devil for them. But the actual comic book that came out first was Marvel Knights Spider-Man with Mark Miller. So that came out first.
So you worked with Mark Miller just at the beginning of your career.
Exactly, that's it. And then I'm not sure what happened to that guy, but.
So that's no, it's a good start, I would say.
Right.
Since then, on how many characters, if you can recall it, have you worked?
So I was at Marvel for 14 years. So I did Shauna, She-Devil, Spider-Man, Mighty Avengers, X-Men, Hulk, and Wolverine. So I pretty much did all of the characters within that 14-year time.
And do you have a favorite? Is there one character you like more than the others?
I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite character, but I kind of wish that I've drawn Conan at Marvel, but Conan, they lost the Marvel license. Marvel lost the Conan license by the time I joined Marvel, so it was at Dark Horse. And I would have liked to have done Fantastic Four at Marvel, because I was a huge John Byrne's fan, Fantastic Four. A huge John Byrne Fantastic Four fan back in the 80s. And so Conan and Fantastic Four, and those are two characters that I wish I'd done at Marvel.
Well, probably you still got a chance on it. Yeah.
I don't know. I found out that I'm banned at Marvel.
Oh, really? Why?
Because I pissed off. I'm not sure if I should say this. Basically, I pissed off the head of Star Wars. So someone at Star Wars got mad at me for what I drew, and they basically ordered Marvel to put me on the blacklist. So I'm banned at Marvel, but I didn't even know. For 2 years I didn't know, because I was so busy working on other stuff. I just found out recently. So I'm trying to talk with the editor at Marvel to figure out what can I do to, work at Marvel again.
All right. That's crazy. It's probably do not know. Your characters, that when you draw them, they're very naturalistic. So and very often the women you draw also very good looking. Probably it was a Princess Leia they didn't like.
Yeah, actually, I think it might have been one of those where Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker is making out and having a romantic encounter. I think that's the one that kind of pissed him off.
I guess so.
But that's canon, though. George Lucas wrote that as like first Star Wars. So I wasn't really doing anything wrong. I'm just following canon.
Yeah, I know. But well, those guys. Okay. So But you also did stuff for DC.
Yeah, so when Disney bought Marvel, they basically got rid of all the exclusive creators. So I was an exclusive creator at Marvel for 14 years. So when Disney bought Marvel, they basically got rid of all the creative, executive, exclusive creators like me. And then and DC came and took all the ex-Marvel exclusive creators and brought us to DC. And remember, for 2 years after that, DC was just crushing Marvel in sales because all the ex-Marvel creators were now working at DC. And then AT&T bought DC and then did exactly what Disney did to Marvel, which basically just stripped away all the benefits and all that and just kind of like cut everything to the bone. So.
And then what did you do for DC?
I did Wonder Woman covers and I did Harley Quinn covers. I did about 70 Harley Quinn covers. And right now I'm doing Catwoman, Poison Ivy covers. So mainly covers.
Mainly covers. Is that what you do now mainly? So you do not work on the interiors too much anymore, but you mainly do covers?
Yeah, so actually like I pretty much became a cover artist. I would like to do interiors, but I actually, at this point, I won't lose money if I do interior because the cover work just pays so much more money. And, you know, at this point, you know.
That's probably the reason why so many artists want to be cover artists,
Yeah,
because
I'm trying to buy a new house, so, you know, more covers for me.
I have a crush on your Harley Quinn covers. You did some variants with a dachshund, with a wiener dog.
Right.
Like the one when Harley Quinn sits like that and,
Right.
and the wiener dog is begging for with the leash.
Yeah.
Come on, I thought this was extremely funny. I loved that very, very, very much. How did you came up to an idea like that?
Yeah.
I know you did a couple of covers, cover designs with the wiener dog.
Because I have a dachshund, or I used to have a dachshund, so it's just based on real life. So those dachshunds are just absolutely crazy, you know.
I love this because I'm a big fan of dachshunds, so excellent. So this is my absolute favorite.
Is that how you pronounce it, dachshund, or is it dachshund?
No, dachshund.
Dachshund. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, perfect thing. At the moment, are you still cover artist for DC or?
Yeah. So I just finished the Catwoman cover before I flew out here. So I'm doing Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and I just got signed a contract to do a Power Girl and the absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman covers. Like I'm gonna kind of have a connecting cover.
So as a cover artist, you know, for the interior artists, they usually do. They have one for the pencils, one for the inks, one for the colors, and then one who puts the text into the balloons, the letter. Sometimes the artists do, especially when they work digitally, they put pencils and inks together to one person. How is it as a cover artist? Is there also a split work, or do you do everything except for the texts?
I mean, I do everything. So I do everything except for the colors. I have Sabine Rich, my colorist. She colors it, but I do pencil and ink, and you know, yeah, and then basically come up with the idea and all that. Because the editors, they pretty much leave me alone because I'm in the variant cover artist, so I come up with the concept and all that.
So if you create a cover, do you know the content before that, or do you just get some core informations to do the cover?
So I don't know the story at all because I'm in the variant cover office. So when I was doing Harley Quinn, I would ask them what's the story about so I could incorporate the story onto the cover. but the writers were running so far behind, they couldn't tell me what the story was about. So after a while, or actually in the very beginning, very early on, they told me, just do whatever you want. Just create an iconic cover or just a funny cover. Do whatever you want, because we don't know what the story is. So that's why I did, basically, when I did Harlequin cover, I kind of treated each cover as a single panel visual gag cover. Almost like a Norman Rockwell Saturday Evening Post kind of thing.
So, but somehow it has to relate to the content. It can't be just a cover.
No. It does have to relate at all, because I'm in the variant cover office.
The variants, oh sure. Yeah.
So it's just a special cover unit. So they pretty much gave me full autonomy, full freedom to do whatever I want. So I can write and draw my own covers.
And are you working mainly digital, or are you still a guy who loves to work on papers?
So I'm like the only Asian who suck at technology. So I don't know how to use computers. So I do everything by pencil and paper. So,
which also creates original art that it's sellable.
Oh yeah. So like a lot of people ask me like, don't you want to do more digital stuff because it'll make you faster? But I said no, because like I make half my income selling original art. So if I do digital, I basically will lose half my income. And also, I don't like drawing on. I tried drawing on the computer screen. It just doesn't feel right. I prefer the paper and pencil. That way it feels more natural to me.
How long do you need for a cover to finish it from the first idea to the last point of color? No, for the last inks, you don't do the color.
It takes me, depends on the cover, how much I put into the cover. So if it's a fast turnaround, it takes me 2 days, 1 day to pencil, 1 day to ink. But usually I like to spend about like 5 days, almost a week on a cover.
And then you pass it on to your colorist, and
right.
Is your colorist asking you for your ideas on the colors, or do you just leave it over?
So in the beginning, Sabine, I would give her color notes and all that, but after a while, she kind of know what I like and what I don't like, and so I trust her. So I just like give it to her, just color, I don't care, and she does a great job.
And do you see it then before it goes back to the editor? Yeah. And from the editor, do you sometimes get notes they want to have changed something, or is that very, very rare?
No, it's rare, but it happens. I just did a Wonder Woman cover, and they told me can you make her less sexy? And I didn't know. Because it was like a swimsuit cover. It was like a Wonder Woman swimsuit. So I just put her in the bikini, and where she's coming out of the water. So she's putting her hair, and so I got a note back said, "Can you make her less sexy?" And I said, "What do you mean less sexy?" And so they told me, "Well, can you change the bikini to one-piece suit?" I'm like, "Oh, why didn't you guys tell me that in the first place?" And they said, "Well, we didn't realize how sexy you can make her with a bikini."
They didn't know you, huh?
Yeah, and then so I said, all right. So I changed the bikini into one piece, and then I get another note saying that, "Hey, can you make her still less sexy? Make her breasts and hips smaller?" And I'm like, "Oh, why did you hire me?" So I ended up redrawing the entire cover because I have to again, because I'm the only Asian who suck at technology, I can't fix it on the computer. I have to hand redraw the whole thing. So I redrew the whole cover.
So at least you had the artwork of the first version to tell it to the fans that this is the cover that got never published.
Right. So I just signed a contract to do a Power Girl swimsuit cover. And I told them, can I put her in bikini? And and they basically had a meeting and whether or not to have me draw a power girl in bikini. So they finally said, yeah, I can do it. Because at first they said, no, put her in a one piece. But I said, but that's the original power girl outfit. It's just a one piece bathing suit. And so I'm like, she's not going to look any different because it's going to be the same. And then so they realized their mistake is, okay, put her in a bikini, but please don't make her too sexy. That's the note that I got. So I'm not going,
Sometimes
hire me, you know?
Sometimes different to put together, yes. I understand. Let's go a little bit back. You're original from Korea, is that true?
Yeah, so I was born in Korea and I came to U.S. when I was 6.
Okay, so you do not have much remembrance at your home country.
No.
Have you ever visited it? Have you still family there?
I have some cousins and aunt, you know, there, but I never went back and never had any desire to go back, you know.
Yeah.
Because my parents went back several times and they said, I grew up in Seoul, so they said it's like New York City, but everything is all the signs are in Korean. So.
When you went to university, then was it an art school you have been?
No, I actually I went to a nursing school. I have a nursing degree. So you know, so as a coming from a typical Asian family, my parents put tremendous pressure on me to become a doctor or an engineer, and instead I chose nursing because, you know, surrounded by women and I look good in white. So I got a nursing degree. I never did anything with the nursing degree. Before I graduated, I did graduate from nursing degree. Right 3 months before graduation, I got a contract to do Liberty Meadows as a newspaper script. So I've already decided I'm going to be a cartoonist when I graduate. So when I graduated, I literally got on stage, got my bachelor's degree, my science degree in nursing, got my picture taken with my parents, and then went home and started drawing cartoons.
Okay, but how did you learn the drawing then? All by self-taught? All by yourself?
Yeah, self-taught.
Okay, and the Liberty Meadows you did then during university for the university newspaper. How did that start? I wonder.
So when I went to nursing school, I drew for the student newspaper, University of Maryland, and I won the best college cartoonist of that year. And because of that, I kind of got a contract with a syndicate to do Liberty Meadows as a syndicated newspaper comic strip internationally. So I kind of like fell into it again. You know, I wasn't planning on it. It just like my life I just fell up. You know what I'm saying? Instead of falling down, I kind of fell up. Wasn't planning on anything. I just got lucky. I just like, you know, I went to college, drew a cartoon for fun, and then won the best college cartoonist. That led to a syndication deal. I did that for 5 years, and then I quit because I got tired of the censorship. And then Marvel called me up and hired me as a writer artist at Marvel, and then Disney took over, got let go from Marvel, and then DC grabbed me.
It's one of these careers many of your fellow creative people dreaming of because they just called you out. It's okay, do that, and yeah, okay, I can do that.
Well, pretty much.
Lucky guy.
It really is. It really is bizarre when I think about it. It's like I never planned any of this. It just happened. And the funny thing is, when I was younger, when I was growing up, I actually thought about, I wanted to be a comic book artist, but I didn't know how to be a comic book artist. And then And then, you know, my parents put pressure on me to become a doctor, so I just went to medical school, nursing school, and then I still ended up being a comic book artist. It's weird.
Well, congratulations on that. So then you're not only, you do not only draw comics, you're also writing comics. You're also
Right.
a writer.
Right.
How did this happen?
Again, by accident. I just wanted to write stories. I got a lot of stories, so I just started writing it, and then people like it. So when Marvel hired me, they actually hired me as a writer-artist, and eventually I just became an artist because like a lot of people like my women, you know, like my sexy women drawing. But I actually wrote a lot. So I wrote Savage Wolverine for Marvel. I wrote Shaun of the She-Devil for Marvel, and I wrote and drew Skyborn at Boom Studios. Wrote and drew Fight Girls at AWA Studios, which was almost got optioned for a movie. It didn't happen. And I wrote and drew Liberty Meadows, which was was optioned by Sony, and they made a TV pilot episode. That went nowhere. So I actually do a lot of writing. A lot of people don't know that I actually do a lot of writing, you know.
So in Germany, except from your superhero stuff, has been and still is published Liberty Meadows. It's University Freaks.
University Square, yeah. University Freaks, yeah.
Yeah, and also Fight Girls is published here.
Yeah.
So more creator-owned stuff by you.
Yes, I have 2 creator-owned stories that's coming up. One, I'm so behind in it because I do so much cover work for DC, and the second one is a top secret project that I can't talk about, which will come out late next year.
All right, so you hear it next year, top secret. That's the title. It's called Top Secret.
Exactly.
The other thing is we now have talked, or you mentioned a couple of times, the women you draw are very realistic on the one hand and very good looking, not to say sexy on the other hand.
Yeah, gross and boozing.
Yeah, and probably this got you in trouble with Star Wars, the Star Wars guys. So have things changed since you're in the business and the way women are drawn in comics, or people look at it?
So it's actually really interesting. So I started in 1997, right out of college. So in the beginning, I was criticized by the conservative, by the religious right. I actually got a hate letter from a priest, a Catholic priest, when I first started. And they basically was saying the conservatives were criticizing me for objectifying women, for making them a sexual object, and all these other stuff. And then 20 years later, the pendulum swung. Now it's the liberals that are attacking me for the exact same reason, for objectifying women, making them a sexual object. So it's actually kind of funny. So I guess another 15 years from now, the pendulum's going to swing back to the conservative, where they're going to start attacking me. So it's actually hilarious.
So what's your view on that? Because we have to state that
So I'm doing Catwoman covers for DC, Poison Ivy. I'm gonna do Power Girl, and then pretty much DC's just been keeping me occupied. You know, Marvel. I haven't done anything at Marvel for almost 2 years now, and I got like a bunch of projects and works that some I can talk about, some I can't. But I'm actually in a really good place. You know, so I've been extremely lucky.
That sounds really great, and I will give the audience now the chance to have questions. And I'm the old man standing up. So, let's start with you.
Hi, Mr. Cho. I just wanted to ask, who would you say are your like artistic influences, like the people that you learn stuff from, and like what impacted your art style?
So who influenced me?
Yeah.
I was lucky. I grew up reading John Buscema stuff, How to Draw the Marvel Way. That was like my Bible. So I used to copy it all the time as a little kid. Al Williamson, Frank Frazetta, Don Newton, who was a Batman artist that no one really knows about, Neil Adams. So all the artists that I like were all classically trained. So that's why my style is very classical.
Thank you so much.
So, coming over.
I have one question concerning Liberty Meadows, because maybe I missed it, but when you left it, there are a lot of unfinished storylines, and especially the last issue, this number 37 or something, was kind of a big climax, and then it just stopped. Are you planning on revisiting it anytime in the future?
Yeah, I mean, Sony had the Liberty Meadows option, had the rights to it for 6 years, and I got it back. So I've just been sitting on it, and I do have an ending in mind, and I just need to like find time to just finish out the story between, you know, Randy and Frank and all the animals. So I'm coming to it. I'm gonna revisit it and finish all the story, you know, that I left it at cliffhanger. You know.
I guess you won't tell us the end now.
No.
Okay, I thought so. Any more questions? Yeah, here.
First of all, thank you so much for coming. It was a very interesting panel. I wanted to ask on a lighter note, can you maybe share, if you're allowed, some stories where editors' comments were, you found them ridiculous regarding your art? So you told a story about like bikini. Are there any other funny stories where you just thought, why would you even ask me to change it?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's mainly. So when I did Liberty Meadows, when I launched Liberty Meadows, I was supposed to give him like 10 weeks of the strips already done. So I sent in it was 5 weeks, 5 to 10 weeks. So I sent over 5 weeks worth of strips to my syndicate. And then I got most of the art back with little post-it notes pointing to Randy's Rosenbusen. Basically saying that she's too big up top to kind of like make it smaller. And basically like they said don't show any cleavage because it's a family newspaper. And which is like funny because if you look at the newspaper, you turn the next page over, there's a big brawl ad, you know. So it made absolutely no sense. I remember that. And then I remember Liberty Meadows, they gave me 5 things that you can't joke about. It's sex, religion, drug usage, racial issues. What was the 5th one? I forgot the 5th one, but all 5 topics I would make jokes about, and my editors we used to get into fights every week. I'm trying to get my jokes approved, and that's one of the reasons I left Liberty Meadows, because I was just like, I couldn't handle the stress.
So a lot of your variant covers, we have talked about it. They're very humorous. So would you also probably consider a second career as a stand-up comedian?
No. Actually, I did. I was at a convention, and then I was in the green room with basically it was an agent. So he was with his actor guy, and in a convention signing and all that. And then we had dinner, and then so I was just like cracking jokes left and right. And then he did actually said, if you ever come to Hollywood, look him up, because he'll try to get me a job as a screen like a writer for a sitcom. So he did tell me that. So I thought that was kind of like flattering,
I think you could do that good, very good. So, more questions? No. Yes.
Good afternoon. You said that you finished the nursing school and also were working on your art. How was it even possible? Because I know that it's like really hard major to study on, and you managed it all. It's really good managing skills, I guess. But could you tell how it's possible to work in art industry and also study?
So how did I basically work as went to nursing school, medical school, and then have and do all the art and all that stuff? I mean, like, I'm Asian. I mean, I'm a workaholic. I just work nonstop. I mean, that's the only one mode, it's like just stop, which means you're dead, and you go, and being Asian.
Well, and in the end, I think a lot of people are forced to work during their university time to afford life. So, yeah, it's probably not your problem, but yeah, I think a lot of people have to do that. So, more questions? Okay, if not, I'm coming back to you. You have now told us that some of your own stuff is optioned by TV. So, do you know if we will see something of that on screen? Is there something very close to happen?
So the top secret project that I'm working on, I think that's gonna happen. I think that's gonna like blow up and actually, because yeah, I can't say.
Okay.
I can't say it's gonna. I think it's gonna happen.
And the other thing is, as comic book artists, usually now there are a lot of TV series and a lot of movies are out, and since a couple of years, all the creatives that have been used to get the designs are mentioned in the credits. Have you ever been credited to a movie or a TV series by Marvel or DC?
Not that I know of. Although I think I should have been credited for Avengers movie, because they took a lot of the stuff from my Mighty Avengers run with Bendis.
Okay, they should have credited you. Do you know if someone is credited, is this also going along with money, or is this just for the honor?
I have no idea.
Since you never have been credited.
No idea.
You do not. Well, for sure. Well, oh yeah, we have a little bit of time left, so is there any advice you can give to young artists how to come into business? I know in the former years it was like best way is going to comic conventions and shaking hands and talking to people, but now we're in a digital age. Do you know what's the best way today to get into business? More questions? Oh. You can answer that. So I'm on my run then.
How do you break into comics nowadays?
Yes, that was the question.
I have no idea. Again, I picked up the phone. Marvel called me up and I picked up the phone.
Have you ever helped any young artists to get the path?
I showed them who to talk to, so I'm not sure if they actually got hired or whatever. I've seen a lot of, not too many, I've seen several really good artists, and I would introduce them to editors and writers, and what happened to them, I have no idea.
Okay, so you're not the Jedi Master.
Hi. I wanted to ask you, so I'm following your art for a lot of years, but I noticed you don't really have too many stories that are deeply Asian. I mean, I understand that you grew up a lot in US and so on, but I would be interested, like, if you could do something like Ken Liu, for example. I think you adapted one of Fixing Liu's stories, if I'm not wrong. But do you have like some Asian stories that you would like to tell in the future? Or, I mean, I know it will be sort of maybe an outsider perspective since you live in the US for so many years, but it would be interesting to see your take on the Asian culture in comics, like through a comic story.
The question is...
So the question is if you have something in that direction coming in the future, or if you thought about it.
About my Asian culture?
Yes, to do some sort of Asian comics. Like I think you will be a good fit for Ken Liu stories, for example.
Probably not, because I hated growing up Asian.
Okay.
I mean, it was, I mean, all the stereotypes about the parents being very hard and all that, you know, it's all true. I mean, so I don't know if people will enjoy reading stories about how it sucks to grow up Asian, you know, studying every day, getting yelled at your parents, sucking at sports, sucking at dating. I mean, I guess like, yeah, I mean, it's not really a good story for me, you know. I guess it's different now with all the K-pop stuff. But growing up in the 80s, growing up Asian in the U.S., it was, I mean, it was kind of boring, you know, boring and nothing really exciting happened, you know. I wanted to play sports, but my parents won't let me play sports. They say, you got to study, you know, try to date. And my parents said, you can't date, you know, because, you know, women are bad, you know, you might get them pregnant, and you won't go to college. So it was a very repressed, life growing up Asian, you know. So I'm not sure if it would make a good story.
Probably you should do it. It sounds like it could be a good therapeutical thing for you.
Like a therapy?
Self-therapy. Writing about my life in my youth. So.
I mean, like, growing up, I mean, I joke about it, but growing up Asian it's not fun. I mean, it was like, my dad was a captain of the tank squad of the Korean Army, so he was very, very strict, very, you know, if you screw up, you know, he'll just smack you, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and my mom was almost a nun. She was like an uber Catholic. So you have a dad who was very rigid and very strict, and then you have mom who is very hyper religious. So it sucked.
I can't imagine that. So, okay, do we have a last question? Okay, one last question.
Hi, I'm Isidora, and I wanted to ask you one technical question more about writing a story for a comic book. So do you have already a structure, like how many panels are going to be, how much, I don't know, the beginning, middle and the end? You know how long this story has to be when you're writing it and how you dispose it?
So, how do I write my stories? So, I actually write backward. I have the ending in mind. I've already have the ending in mind, and then I try to figure out how to steer the story into that ending. So, so how many pages and all that, I really don't know. I just like write until it feels organically feels right where to stop. Same with the Liberty Meadows panel gags. It was like 4 panels, and you have to tell a story in 4 panels. That was really hard, but once I got used to it, it became very automatic, very natural. And then once I left Liberty Meadows, went into comics, so you have 22 pages to figure out a story. That was really hard too, because you have to retrain your mind to figure that out. So it's been a very organic hit or miss process. But if you have the story in mind, which I do, I have like about like a dozen stories that I want to do, and I've written about like 6 of them. Once I have the story in mind, it naturally it writes itself. And when I write, it's not real writing. It's I don't write, sit on the computer and write. I actually draw as I write. I draw a little, like a thumbnail, like a little sketch, and then write all the information, the dialogues, and So if you look at all my stories, it's not. I don't really type it out. I actually have. I make a little first pass at a comic book almost, So and then once I did that, then I go into translating that into words.
Is it, just to follow that up, when you work on interiors, what you have now not done for a longer time, but if you work on that, do you get the pure text, or you do get it as a storyboard so that this should be the paneling, or is that what you do by yourself?
It depends on the writer, but all the writers, they kind of like, when they gave me a full script, it's like a movie script, and they say panel 1, and they describe the action and then the dialogue. And so some writers are very, very exact, like Alan Moore. Alan Moore describes everything. He writes like each page is like several pages, hyper detailed. And then you have some writers who are very more relaxed. They give you more freedom, and they just write out the dialogue with a rough scene, the panel 1, blah blah blah, and then the dialogue, and then they basically give you the option of how to stage it, and stuff like that. So it depends on the writer. Some writers are very hyper controlling and detailed, like Alan Moore, and some writers are very laid back and more collaborative, and give you more room to make your own decision visually, how to break down visually. So those writers I actually prefer, who give me the latitude, the freedom to break down the page, like Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb is one of my favorite writers to work for, because he's very gives you a lot of freedom to interpret the script, basically give you the visual freedom to break down the pages.
All right. So our stage time is over now. Many thanks to Frank Cho. Bitte ein großer Applaus. Thank you for being here. We see you here again tomorrow. Ich bleibe jetzt gleich auf der Bühne. Hier geht es gleich mit Star Wars weiter. Da sind dann ein paar Star Wars Künstler. Da werden wir uns jetzt gleich weiter unterhalten. Und ich bedanke mich für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Bis zum gleich oder nächsten Mal. Dankeschön.